We live, baby.
Giving everybody the opportunity to get settled in here before we get the show started. This is episode 6. Wrong time, right place. Big Rocket E Money coming to you live on Twitch. Do me a favor, send that link out if you haven't already. Shout it out to everybody. Let's get as much people as we can to get in here for these discussions. Um, and let's have a good show. Episode 7, this is going to be about misinformation. Um, Take it away, my mans.
Yeah, we all see, especially in this election year, 2020, with everything that's going on. There's been a lot of people, a lot of information out there, not all of it true. And we just kind of want to touch on the importance of making sure that you're getting the accurate information, the facts that you're getting are true and reliable, and how dangerous it can be to not have accurate information. And yeah, we were looking for another good show. We had a good discussion last week, episode 5, about fitting in and being yourself. So you can check that one out, and we're looking forward to having another good episode.
Yeah, that was a great show we had last week. I'm going to plug that in the chat right now. If anybody hasn't already subscribed, please do so. Check out all of our other episodes. We've been rocking real good on this podcast. We've got a lot of great feedback, and we appreciate that. I think our message is being heard. Next step is just getting as many people as we can to hear the message. So we appreciate anybody sharing our links or shouting us out, whatever it is. So
Yeah,
appreciate
and
y'all.
we got some, yep, and we got some big things planned too, for to be interactive with you guys. Maybe some meet and greets, live podcast where you guys can show up and hang out with us. So we got like for everybody that's been in here supporting us through all these episodes. We want to give back to you as well. So yeah, keep rocking with us because we only got more in store.
Absolutely. And just to add on to that, I know we have a couple other things planned too. We want to eventually do a charity stream one time. So not only doing it live on the podcast, but maybe carrying over afterwards to a live charity, like gaming session, whatever it is, 24-hour stream, whatever it may be. I'll rock with it. And then we also have some guests lined up for you guys too in the next coming weeks. We're definitely going to bring some people on, share some different perspectives, add a new element to the show. And still working on those logos and things. So appreciate everybody being in here and being patient with us. Like I said, um,
Mhm.
misinformation. Yeah, it's a great topic to talk about, especially it's an election year. Lots of stuff, and social media is taken over really heavily. What is the main reason that you wanted to talk about
Absolutely.
misinformation?
Just because I feel like a lot of people can take things they see off social media and repeat it as fact, or and this is not just political. This is in like even for people's reputation. Someone could say a story or something they see online, and that there's no evidence for it, but it's been taken as fact, and now it can slander someone's character. It can, um, you know, have it can lead to a snowball effect now of a bunch of people taking this information that may or may not be true, taking it as truth. And I just think that can lead to a dangerous effect. And it's important to like consider. I just want people to start considering where they're getting the information from and source and double checking. And I think a lot of this started not just this election, but I think we saw it big in the 2016 election with all the quote unquote fake news on Facebook and Twitter, and I think now it's only gotten worse as we've progressed.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is the age of the internet. So there's been a lot of craziness going on, especially with people our age. The internet
Mhm.
is so full of information and people posting things all the time. It's hard to decipher what is real and what's not real, what's factual, what's not factual. For me personally, I like to take it in a couple different ways of it being sort of like um, you can't take everything 100%. Like if it's a trusted source and it's someone that I know, then I will accept it after I do my own research. But there are other sources that I know that I'm not super familiar with, and I'll take it with a grain of salt. So I will not only like listen to it straight up, but I'll make sure to follow up on it, or maybe to
We
um,
live, baby.
maybe only to absorb part of it. You know, I don't have to take 100% of everything from a source that I'm not familiar with. I can just kind of take the business parts that I think are accurate, because some people on the internet kind of exaggerate things and exasperate things further. So you kind of gotta you can't accept everything all the time. You gotta have an open mindset to it.
And I think you say some interesting things about like, picking and choosing, taking not just taking everything as facts from one source and, formulating your own opinions. And I think that's kind of like speaking on this topic, like that's a big thing is who can you actually trust? Because I feel like now we live in an age where there's so much information out there. There's so many people trying, putting content out, and you really start asking like, who can you trust? And even now I find people like even that were once credible sources that we looked at, like the news, they are even now losing credibility. So I think it's it's an interesting time, especially for like for journalists and for people who do research because, like I said, there's so much out there. You almost don't even know what's true and what's not true. And how do you decipher what's true and what's true, Dries?
I use multiple sources, and I do my own research as well. I can't just take
Mm,
um, everything by ear. I have to make sure things are factual, especially if you're talking about serious topics. You can't just accept things what somebody else is telling you as fact. You can accept it at that moment, and maybe kind of look into their point and be in agreement in that. But I think you do have to do your own due diligence and look into it yourself further. And it may take multiple sources. And some people might look and say like, oh, well, I don't want to take the time for this and for that. I don't want to look stuff up. And it's like, well, if you're not looking stuff up, you're gonna really put yourself in some crappy spots, because you don't know where that person is getting their information from. It's just like in college when they say you need to cite your sources. Like, ask those questions. Who are you getting these numbers from? Like,
cool.
yeah, like
Yeah.
all that.
And like where, and I also think too, like you have to also understand propaganda and agenda. So like what is the angle? Like what slant is this? Is this person giving you just pure facts, or are they coming at it with a slant or an agenda to sway your way of thinking? And I think that's like especially with this election, man, you see it so much propaganda or alternative facts, as our former president would like to say, and I think it just leaves like to me at least the general public feeling so like distrusted from government and from media.
Yeah, the media is definitely a big part of it nowadays. I think there is. I don't think there's particular medias who try to sway you a certain way, but I do think there are
Mm,
media sources that try to appeal to their particular audience. Like, their goal isn't to sway you into thinking a certain way, but they're putting out content specifically for their audience. And unfortunately, in the U.S., it's kind of like liberal versus conservative, that kind of stuff that kind of shapes things. Me myself, I do look at both ends. I would say I don't necessarily take everything, like I said, factual from both, but I pick and choose, because sometimes people do say real things, sometimes people do say some really outlandish things. That doesn't mean I'm going to discredit that entire source, but I'm going to discredit a portion of what they're saying. I'm like, I don't believe in that particularly based on other things that I've looked up. And if you have like a centered focus, I think it's really easy to kind of do that. Find yourself some good sources that
right.
you can really trust, and over time it'll be really easy.
And some sources that I think that are really good is anything edu. Um, don't just look at the first Google search and click that. Go when you're researching something, try to look at it from both angles. look up the conservative and Democrat view. That way, you're getting both sides, and now you can find yourself taking what both parties are bringing and formulating your own opinion. So that's my recommendation. If because some people, I know a lot of people don't know how to find, how to search for sources, and that's just my recommendation is take both and formulate your own. Find what you believe, and I think that's how you come to a real conclusion. Shout out VJK Monster in the chat. He been rocking with us week after week. So, but yeah, and I think another thing I want to talk about too is like we talked about Donald Trump on the previous episode, episode 5. So check that out if you guys missed it. Uh, I think this misinformation age. Do you think he had anything to play with it? Because he kind of says a lot of things as that he states as facts that are like proven to be factually incorrect. But yeah, people still believe it.
I mean, yeah, absolutely. Like I said, there's a lot of people who spew out a lot of information. And if you're not given the correct context, different things like that, it can be twisted and contorted in many different ways. And Donald Trump does that a lot, unfortunately. He's just not a very good speaker in general to where he can explain things um, to where it makes him insane. It makes him a crazy person because he just spews out stuff. Um,
Hmm.
and given the context when you're in a position of power like that, it's probably not best to do that. But there's a lot of people who do that, and that's
A lot
that's
of
where.
people, and yeah.
Go right ahead. Go ahead.
So yeah, I say like you said, a lot of people that do that, and the thing that worries me is like I think that this might even become a trend going forward in politics because it worked for Donald Trump. Regardless of how you feel about him, like or dislike, it worked for him. Just saying things worked. He was able to get people to agree with him and be on his side, whether they're true or not. And I don't know. I think that's like a dangerous trend that could continue.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a great example to bring up. Um, why do you think people kind of just believed him?
Because well, my initial thinking is, there's already a huge lack of trust in government in politics. I think a lot of those people that do support him felt like that their views weren't getting represented, or they were. And here comes this guy who was already kind of like a pseudo celebrity. He had a following already before being presidency, so he's someone I think people feel like he attached to him because they see kind of themselves. They relate to how he talks and the way he presents himself. He's a jerk, but he's at least open about it. A lot of people in politics feel like a lot of these politicians are the same way, but they just cover it up. So I think that
Hmm.
that to me is why a lot of people believe Donald Trump.
Yeah, a lot of people did believe him and kind of bought into what he was saying, and it's it's crazy when I think about it because um, this is kind of the reason why we're doing this whole talk. Like it's really easy to see how insane he is once you do your own research. Like
Yeah,
literally, if you fact check anything that comes out of that person's mouth, it's like so factually incorrect. It's like you have to do your own research on a lot of things, um, and that's kind of what our message is. Not only should you be wary of misinformation that's out there on social media because we're in the age of the internet, but do your own due diligence and look into things a step further, and find out for yourself. Educate yourself in things that matter to you, and you can find yourself in a position to kind of like what me and you are doing right now. You can start leading your own conversations and helping people, assisting people into a better understanding of different topics. Um,
right.
yeah.
Yep. And I think, yeah, like you said, don't be afraid to ask questions because you shouldn't just take everything at face value. There's always something deeper. And I don't even think I think what's going on with misinformation, it's even extending past politics. It's in a lot of different news elements, like even um sports, entertainment, things of that nature. It still translates because I think there's so much emphasis in journalism specifically on like trying to be first, being the first
Mm-hmm.
person to break something that it's lost sight of. facts being right,
Yeah,
and that's dangerous.
you're absolutely correct. And then you also have to look at clout nowadays. Shout
Oh
out to
yeah,
TV Slay.
cloud.
Shout out to Mogwai. Yeah, clout. Clout is a thing too. So not only are people looking to be first in reporting something, but they're reporting things with clickbait titles, clout titles, because they that that aren't even like relevant to the headline. Sometimes I actually do see news reports and the headline will say something super crazy, and then I'll read the actual report and it has nothing to do with the headline. I'm like, this is
so
literally
much, man.
like that's a form of misinformation right there, because your headline is literally telling people one thing, and I know a ton of people who literally just read headlines. They won't actually go into it
I've done
further
that.
to read in the story. Yeah, we all do it. Sometimes you don't see a story that's super interesting, um, so you just read the headline.
You see the
But
headline and you're like, whoa.
well, and then even then you're like, oh well, this person has a whole article supporting this headline. But there's been a ton of times where I've actually read the article and it has nothing to do with the headline. I'm like, this is actually a big bait right here.
Or even like I think people, they would take something out of context to drive home a point to create controversy. For one, I want to, like, for example, I was with Sean 24K, who I think is in here. Shout out to Magua and TB Slays as well in the chat. What's up, y'all? But yeah, I was watching, we were watching this interview because I don't know if you heard about Ice Cube, and he came under fire because he quote unquote supported Trump because he went to go meet with him. But and after that, I thought that for the longest time that that's what it was, and I was like, "Yo, what's up with Ice Cube? What's going on?" But then I saw the interview, and he didn't even. He's like, "I don't support." I was just going there to meet with whoever the president was about making change. Didn't matter if it was that, you know what I mean. But they tried to spin it as if he was supporting Trump, and that's what I thought from reading the headline. So it just kind of goes to the point you were making, that there's misleading information can also be very misleading.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's a lot of that floats out. I think specifically it's so important to talk about because we're our age range has such access to information with the internet. Like literally, if you could Google search anything, that's why people say Google University. Like you could Google anything and find something out. You can
Yeah,
you can find so much on the internet, and you can an example of that is one of my friends was telling me to look into some conspiracy theories, and then afterwards he was like, "What do you think? That stuff's crazy, right? Like you think it's real?" And like he was just asking me because he thinks it's real, and I'm like, "Oh, it could be real. It could not be real. I'm not sure. Like it's interesting information that they put in the article, but I'm really not sure." And my point in telling this short story is because like he brought me a source which was being broadcasted as a news source, and the information is good information, but I don't know what to think about it. Like I took the pieces that were important in my current life, and I can kind of figure out a way to make it believable, but there's a whole bunch of hogwash in there too. There's a whole bunch of like
right.
hogwash trash that'll drive somebody crazy. So it's like filtering through all of that. So with this being the age of the internet, I guarantee you, if you look up Jesus Christ, you will find some people saying Jesus Christ was a terrible man. I guarantee you. Like that's just the age of the internet. And they'll probably have some sort of dedicated website, whatever, to the anti Jesus Christ club, whatever they got going on. And people will just be like, sending links out, like, look at this. I'm like, come on, man. Like, come on, man. Legit face palm.
I love that point you make because it kind of even speaks on the internet in general. Like it can be used as a great tool because there's so much information, but also it can be used to kind of validate people, like validate your own opinion. So if I believe something, it's I can go on the internet and I'm sure to find someone else that believes the way I do, and I can treat that as fact when it may not be. Like you said, there's a lot of there might be a lot of hogwash in between, which I looked at the same video that you did, and there's a lot of hogwash in between, and I think that's the important thing that we're trying to get across is with all the information that's out there, you can't take one thing as 100% fact and then dismiss this other thing as 100% false. Because the truth always pretty much lies in the middle, am I right? In like in all cases, there's always
Mm-hmm.
so.
Yeah. There's a side. There's a side to every story. You know, there's two sides to every story, and um, not everybody displays those things. And I think it's kind of human nature also, to where people kind of, when they tell a story, they tell it in a fashion that makes them look good. Like, have you ever been in trouble yourself, and like your parents will ask you, like, let's say when you're younger, your parents ask you, like, well, what happened? And you try to reiterate to your parents, but you spread it a little bit to make yourself look like the good guy, or like you didn't really do anything bad, but it just happened to be that way. I think human nature is kind of that way, to where
Absolutely.
like you make things kind of sound like they're in your favor when you're telling stories and things like that. It just
Hmm.
happens to be like that.
Yeah, everybody does that. I would be, and because a lot of times, like I've done that too. Even arguments with relationships. Like, I tell a story like my girl made me mad, but then I would tell it in a way that like make it look like she's tripping. But in reality, if she were to tell it, I was tripping. And I don't think there's not. It's not about being right or wrong. It's all about perspective. Like you said, like you're gonna always try to make yourself what you did come out in a positive light, in a good light. You're gonna portray yourself in a way that you kind of come out on top. And I think that's what you said, human nature, and
Even if
that's what
it's a
comes
little
with
bit.
it's a little bit,
Yeah.
and it's a case by case thing. But hey, what's up, Cody? Sponge Kobe in the building.
Chat
We got
popping
nine in
off.
here.
Yeah, we appreciate everybody coming out here. Like I said, this is episode 6. We got some guests coming up in the next couple of weeks. Let us know if you guys want to be integrated into our podcast as well. If you guys have some good information, something that you just think is important that you want to talk about, let us know. We want to make this a platform to be able to promote everybody in whatever artistic or whatever value that they have to provide for people. If you have a value that you can provide to somebody, we want to put you on that spotlight to do so. Which I'm gonna make a big shout
Yes.
out to good guy Mogwai, the legend himself. Yeah,
Yeah, big shout out to Margwai, man. He always showing love. That's the homie. Um, yeah, man. It's been a. If you guys have anything in the chat too, any examples of misinformation, what do you guys think? Do you guys think it's a problem or it's a little overblown? Let
yeah,
us know because, and I feel like the thing with misinformation, the thing I want to keep hammering on is trust is a very sacred thing. It's a very you don't trust. It's hard to trust. You don't trust everybody, and the information now that I feel like is so all over the place from all different angles. There's a complete lack of trust in people and where they're getting the information from.
yeah.
Hey,
Feel free to join that Discord as well if you guys want to take part in more serious conversations, or you want to see us do reaction videos, anything like that. Um, we want to be as active as possible. And shout out to Kobe using my new emote, my one and single emote, the big brain, the huge brain emote. Shout out to you. Um, yeah, that other one that Chuck P just put in, that's the Crash Mob's latest music video. Charles does music here, so make sure to go check that out. Give him a like, subscribe to his channel, and comment what you think. They're dope. Um,
yeah,
what I have a question for you.
let's hit it.
With misinformation, um, do you think do you think that had a big part to do with um, the election?
Yes, and I don't think that's the sole reason. I think it enhanced it. It made it more, everywhere now. You can't escape it because there's an election going on and everybody's trying to win. But I do think the root of the problem stems from like you said, clout and the desire to be first and the desire to break the big story or the desire for people to get noticed and I think making things about themselves and not the truth. So I think
Mm-hmm.
that's where like the root of it, but it was enhanced because of the election, if that makes sense. Because there's an election going on, everybody's trying to get their votes, they're trying to persuade people. So you're gonna see it, but I think now that like that almost became the new standard. Is yeah, it doesn't matter if it's true or not. It just matters if you believe it.
Yeah, clout is such a scummy thing. It's so unfortunate that like we live in a day and age where people are clout chasing. Like literally being scumbags, spreading misinformation, clickbaiting, all these things just to feel good about themselves, I guess. Is that what you think they're doing it for?
I think it honestly comes back to what we talked about last week, and people just trying to. I don't know. I feel like with the social media, there's like this desire to be accepted, almost like there's a desire for people to want to feel like liked and loved. I mean, we all want that. Like, we want recognition for what we do. Like, I think that's a natural human thing to want. But at the same time, some people are willing to go whatever lengths to get that, even if it means you said like being a scumbag and being and lying.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. Um, what about in the chat? Does anybody have any questions about misinformation? Hopefully, you guys really understand what we're talking about, and you guys can formulate some questions on what you guys think. Does chat think that misinformation is something that's present nowadays?
Yeah. Do you guys trust the information that you're getting? Because I mean, right now, man, like it's huge because we got a virus, a global pandemic going on, and we're hearing so many different things that I've been like, okay, what's true, what's not true? Do these people even know what they're talking about? Can I trust it? Vaccine? Do I feel comfortable enough getting a vaccine? Like these are questions that I now find myself asking because there's so much misinformation out there, and I can't. It's hard to trust where it's coming from, and I think that this is like a new problem. Like this is not something that you can look back in history and here's the answer to it. This like I think this is the problem going on now that we need to start trying to figure out how we fix it.
Yeah, that's what I was just about to ask you too. Like, how do you think we can go about fixing it? Because I think obviously a lot of people that do spread misinformation or like have hypocrisy in their information, unfortunately, comes at the hand of a lot of politicians and people
Mm.
that are in power. So, what do you think like we as a nation can do to fix that kind of thing?
Just do what we're doing now and talk and understand instead of getting up in arms or thinking that your opinion, because that's what it is most of the time, is the only right possible one. And if you believe it, that's fine for you to believe that your opinion is right. I'm saying you should be able to listen to someone else's perspective because we all, as humans, we all live in our own realities, right? Like we all live in I could look at something completely different than someone else. That's why if you see like I don't want to get too this is kind of a tough subject, but like you see a video of someone getting shot by the police and you show it to one person, you show it to another person, they have totally different reactions and
Mm-hmm.
totally different um perceptions of what just happened. And I think that to get past that, we should be able to talk about it and listen to each other's perspective and respect that. And I think that's how we get it. And I see Mogwai, he said, I think most info is built to separate us more and more. And you kind of just said that, uh, Idris, about the politics. So
Yeah, it's
that's
kind of
it.
true. There definitely is certain avenues that are built to divide us. And I do agree. I think we do need to talk about things. I think there needs to be almost an attitude of like fuck being politically correct. You know, like
Yeah,
and not even politically correct, but like proper. Fuck being proper. Like if you see some bullshit, tell that motherfucker that's some bullshit. Excuse my
yeah, that's some
language.
bullshit. You're
Like
right. You're right. You're damn right.
you gotta tell him that's some bullshit going on. And we got a question from Kobe. What's a good way we can make sure we use credible sources? And we touched on that a little bit in the beginning, but you can go ahead and hit that one.
I say a good way to this is what I do. I just try to make sure that I'm double checking everything. I'm taking the information for what it is and not taking it as law. I'm just absorbing it and I'm putting my own thoughts behind it and researching and then getting someone else's perspective, not just getting one. So if you're looking at like researching a topic or like maybe an issue, let's say healthcare, get both sides, go and see the pros and the cons, and now you can figure out what it means to you and what's and the truth that's out there. I think it's just double checking, getting multiple sources on the topic, and making sure that the person that you're reading is credible and it's up to date. So check the date and check who it's coming from.
Yeah, and try to find entire clips as well. There's
Clips,
a
yeah.
lot of people. There's a lot of people that chop clips, like they'll cut out just a segment out of a sound bite and make it sound really bad. Find the entire clip. Find the entire video. Listen to the whole thing. Make sure what you're seeing is true. Like, cause there's a lot of editing going out there and stuff. Big boy 1234, you're appreciate you. What's up, man? But yeah, make sure you find the entire clip and and you're properly educating yourself to be able to participate in these conversations. And I like what you were saying, absorb the content, but and seek perspective. It doesn't mean you need to research right away, but absorb the content, absorb the people, everybody's different perspective, and maybe you're not at the time and place to be able to do your own research, but hold that for later. Be like, oh, well, this person kind of said this person kind of said that, and I kind of agree with both, or I kind of disagree with this, and then go look at it whenever you have some time. Like, go find out.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
We
And then
live,
that way,
baby.
'cause it's about being educated on the topic. Like if you are interested in something and you want to have an opinion on it, you should be able to speak on it and defend it if someone else says, "Hey man, that's bullshit. Let me tell you why it's bullshit." Like you said, if you feel like what you're saying is not bullshit, you should be able to back it up with examples. And
And
that's what I would say.
and above all else, make sure you're a civil human being. Like
Yeah.
a conversation, make it a conversation, not an argument. You know, make it a conversation. Like it's not about arguing two different points. It's about understanding somebody else's perspective and seeing what you can take away and understand from what they're saying and being able to I'm not going to say like necessarily you have to accept what they say as fact, but hopefully you can reach an understanding of what is going on between the both of you and let somebody else get their point across. Don't be a douche. Let them speak. Be
I think
cordial.
it's I think it's hilarious that that has to be said in 2020 because be civil, don't be an asshole about it. But that's where we are. There is the civil discourse is it's not something that you see. It's not out there. But I just think that's hilarious that you said that.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
it's true.
TB Slays
And
just read my mind. He said, I won't add, don't emotionally attach yourself to the topic, leave personal feelings out of it. Yeah, if you're truly pushing the
absolutely.
conversation to reach understandings, don't make it personal. Make it about understanding. Like, it is what it is.
And yep, and I'm glad you said that, TV Slays, because a lot of people do that. I've done that before too, so I'm not gonna like I'm this is a thing I think we do as humans. If people we use our personal experience and what may have happened to us as like as a fact, and if somebody disagrees, that because of what happened to us, like, or happened to you, you're gonna use your experience to try to dismiss it. But that's not right. Like, listen and not, like you said, put yourself into the topic, because your personal experience, other people may not have had that. So I like that you said that. That's very good. Shout out to an actual cat.
Yeah, yeah. Big boy wants
Made
three
it here
four.
audio only.
He said, "How's your day?" I'm having a good day, man. I'm blessed to be out here, and blessed to be able to share some perspective, and hopefully you guys can take away some value from it. So thank you for being here, and thank you for everybody. Thanks to my boy Big Rocka, everybody. An
Yeah.
actual cat. I've made it here audio only though. That's okay. Hopefully you find some value in what we're saying. Appreciate y'all being here. Let me redeem this hydrate. Is there any other
Yeah, it's been a
further
good show.
questions?
We getting active in the chat. We
Any other
getting
further
active.
questions that you guys have? I know maybe some of you guys missed the beginning, but we're talking about we're talking about misinformation. Do your own research. Be wary of different sources, and you don't have to take everything as fact. Take bits and pieces from different things, and formulate your own opinion and what's important to you. I was sent by my boy Mog. That's because Mog is a legend. Mog always doing stuff like that. He's always making sure everybody is growing, everybody's appreciated, and that boy's the legend. Make sure to go show
Yeah,
him some love too. Go follow him if you haven't. Let me shout him out.
big facts. Big facts. Magua, real one. All you got, yeah, that's what it's about, and that's the type of community, like I said, we've been trying to build. Just positivity, supporting one another. We all try to do things we love, and hey, you know what I'm saying? Like I said, anybody in the chat want to get on this show? Let us know, man. We we trying to converse, we trying to conversate and let everybody say what they feel, what you guys feel, because it's not about us. We just saying what we feel on topics that we see going on, and we want people, our age range, younger, because we know what's going on, what people were going through. So we want to just get these out there, and we want to hear what y'all have to say as well. We really do appreciate it.
Right, and I just want to go back on that a bit too. Um, we're trying to build a community to where we can all succeed together. You know, in this day and age, there's so much going on, and I feel like we don't have a lot of the proper guidance. So, as much as like we want to be able to help people, this is also helping us at the same exact time. We're educating ourselves to be able to bring you guys good content, and you guys bringing questions for us to converse in a different fashion. Um, we want to raise each other up at all times. You know, it's not just about making my podcast successful, whatever, but we want to be able to bring everybody up to a place where you reach your own definition of success. And in this day and age, I think there's a lot of people within our age range that don't have guidance, um, or good guidance. So hopefully, we're able to add some values to somebody.
Absolutely. I got a good question. I think he couldn't say it in the chat, but I had a question. It said, "Is misinformation from Sean 24K?" He said, "Is misinformation a phase or a trend? Or do you think it's gonna stick around?" I have my answer. I'm gonna let you answer that first.
Oh, misinformation is going to be around always. It's literally going to be around
Okay,
always. There are going to be people who try to um, scam you, sway you, do all types of things. But that, like we said, it's up to you. You need to do your own due diligence for yourself, your family, your friends. You need to do your own due diligence and really understand what's going on.
that's facts. Shout out to Joey. God bless in the building.
Joey,
Always,
God
he says
bless
it's
in the
always
building.
gonna be around, and
If it's
so
if it's
agreeing
not
with
a
you.
lie, it's
Yeah,
generally skewed. That's true. Yeah, go ahead. You can give
it's
your
not a
answer.
lie. It's screw. That's a good point. Yeah, no, I agree. I think it's I think. it's definitely going to be around, and it's always it has been around. I think we're now just seeing it. So it's never been amount to this amount because of all the different avenues people have now to get content out or to say their opinion. We're literally living in a 24/7 news cycle. So I think now it's about the way we encapsulate it a little bit is try to focus more on the truth, but definitely it's going to be around for a while, and I think it may only keep getting worse if we don't do something to address it, which is why I wanted to talk about it and get what everyone else thought. Opinions have no place in news, in my opinion. An actual cat, I agree 100%, but unfortunately, that's where we are now, and I think that's why we're going to continue to see it to grow. Unfortunately,
Yeah. So kind of in summary, misinformation is everywhere, and it's always going to be everywhere. Like it really is. There's going to be people clout chasing. There's going to be people scamming. There's going to be people giving bad opinions. There's going to be people arguing. Like misinformation is literally everywhere. It's never going to stop. Um, it it just comes back to you. Do your research. Understand perspectives. Um, don't argue. Don't make it personal. Just educate yourself. We have the internet at our disposal, and it's up to you whether it's a tool in your favor or if it's against you. There's so much that you can learn from the internet and Google search things, but it really is up to you.
right? That's beautiful. It's true. Up to you. And yeah, just because misinformation's out there, that's not an excuse to be misinformed. And if you have someone that you find yourself in a debate or an argument or with someone or someone close to you, like Idris said, just try to educate them. Don't don't hold it against them. Just try your best to educate them. And if they don't want to receive it, that's on them. That's on them. But you're informed, and that's all that really matters.
An actual cat said, "We live in a world where real news outlets have to compete with BuzzFeed." LOL. That.
And
It's ludicrous, but it's so true. You
it's
have
so
like
true, man.
Barstool Sports, all these people. Like you have different
Barstool.
outlets. Like Barstool Sports reports on news. Like they don't even do sports. They just post
it,
news stuff. Like for clout, clickbait stuff, and it's
oh,
really
don't get me
unfortunate.
started on Bleacher Report.
Yeah, my my hopes is hopefully to get enough international people in here, so hopefully they could say one day like, "What? These are the kind of things that go on in America? Like this is not this doesn't happen in whatever country they're from." Because I really want to see what other people's perspectives are in their like locale. I
Let's take a
think
trip.
it's yeah, we gotta take a trip and see how it is. Yeah.
Yeah, we could do a podcast over, and we do it live from somewhere across the pond.
Live from Sweden, coming to you live. You
All
gotta hit
right.
him. You
Yeah,
gotta hit him. You
that's
gotta hit
it.
him with the "we live," baby.
Because we live, baby.
Yeah, we live, baby.
6:46. We doing good. We had a good conversation, man. I got a lot of people in here on this Friday night. It's Friday night, man. You got any plans tonight, Idris?
Yeah,
Any money?
My man Mogwai is setting up a Among Us game, so we gonna definitely go in there and try to big brain some things. Maybe throw a little bit, third imposter a little bit. So we'll see what's going on over there. Well, I just want to say I appreciate
Oh, that's a
everybody
bet.
who everybody who is in the chat. Make sure you follow if you haven't done so already. Hit the bell to get the notifications. We do our podcast live Friday, 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time every week. So make sure you guys hit that bell. Follow the
I got
YouTube. Join the Discord. It's all there.
I got one question before back on our topic. I just got one more question. I thought it was a good one, so I wanted to share it. It said,
Yeah.
What do you think about misinformation in the education system, school?
Oh, that's a good one.
It's a good question.
Misinformation in the education system. See, this is where I think having international people will have really good input because, um, one, I think North American education is a joke, but also I've heard some things about how the U.S. like skews history in favor of U.S. like all the time, like, and I'm sure you've seen stuff where people say, um, like they change the scaling of the map so America looks bigger to give it the perception of more power, stuff like that. So I think it's super crazy. And an actual cast that history is
Yeah.
written by the winners. Yeah, you're absolutely right. That's so crazy. They get to choose what's in those books. And what do you think?
Yeah. So I want to say shout out to Sean 24K and for the question. He's in the chat. He's new to Twitch, so he doesn't know. But yeah, as far as I agree with you, especially in history. But I want to like I think it's and yeah, it's misinformation in the education system is yeah. I think it's there because they're gonna we're learning what by a curriculum. We're learning what we want. We're supposed to be told. Christopher Columbus, for example, U.S. history. I think it's a lot of these subjects, man. A lot of these subjects that we're taught because that is what we've been told to be taught. There's not. It's not. I don't. You don't go to the high school or in a middle school and say, "Yeah, I want to learn about Black history or I want to learn about Latin history," and there's a course for it. You have to pay to go to college to get that, which is which is crazy. But yeah, the information you seek is not really taught in the school system. It's what they want or feel what's important for us to know. And I think it's all slanted with a definite pro-American bias because we live in America.
Yeah, kind of like what we said. How when people tell stories, they give a little bit of bias towards themselves, make themselves sound a little better. Yeah, America's no different. The history books are no different. They always have a little bit more extra that they put in there to make them seem like they were more righteous or you know better, stronger, whatever. And
Mm-hmm.
that's actually a topic we have in the future. Um, America. I'm just gonna give you a sneak peek. One of our topics for the future is America is not as great as it once was. You know, there was this notion in the past that America was the greatest country in the world, and I think that was true for a bit. But now it is no longer. It's falling behind in a lot of things because they're quote unquote so power hungry that they like fall behind. But I don't want to get into that too much.
Yeah,
Uh,
because I was gonna say a whole different point on that. On I don't think America was maybe who was it? It wasn't always great for everybody. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
true, true, true,
so
true, true, true.
So I just wanted to say that too. But yeah, that's a whole different topic. We have that show coming for you guys. That was going to be a wild one. So make sure you're there for that episode.
Hey, shout out to everybody coming in here, man. Like I've seen a lot of different faces up in here in this chat. Shout out to Delirious Bree, another legend, just like Mog, another one. Um, a comment here from Joey, God bless. Also, American classes are 100% concentrated on America. Other countries teach more on worldly stuff. That's true. It's very true.
No cap.
I remember I'm from Afghanistan, so Afghanistan went to war. Well, Russia invaded Afghanistan like in early 70s, late 60s. And I waited my whole time, my whole like US education. I waited to learn about this. I was like, all right, this is about my country. I'm about to learn about this. And it was in world history class. You know what it was? You know what I learned?
What'd you learn?
They had like half of a paragraph written in a book, like half a paragraph, basically just acknowledging that it happened, and that's all it was. I was like, wow, I waited my whole U.S. education to learn about this, and y'all just not gonna speak on this? Like, come on, come on. But
Come on.
that's
And
that's what they do.
I love history, but yeah.
Imagine a world
And
history
most of the
class
things
that,
I've
that
learned about
teaches only
history,
about
man.
that only teaches about America.
I will say this: I love history. I am a history buff. Everything I've learned about history has been on my own. I haven't looked in the history book and learned anything profound besides the Revolutionary War, Civil War, and even now is painted in a certain slant, and Jim Crow, and that all that about like certain history is kind of like it's glossed over important events, important black eyes in American history that they don't really wants to talk about. But I don't want to get too onto that because, like I said, um, you know, I think that that's a topic for another day. But definitely, the misinformation is prevalent, especially in history, which makes me upset because I love history, and I think if we actually looked at it, we could learn a lot from our past.
Yeah. Um, this has been a long episode. I just want to give like maybe like 5 more minutes. We'll do our last closing in 5 minutes or so. Um, so if you guys have any last words or anything, any comments you guys want to share, please do so now. Like I said, we're gonna probably cut it in about 5 minutes or so. I'll move on to gaming after that, but um, for this episode, I definitely want to just cut that right there. Make sure it's not too long. We want to stay within that hour mark. Um, Misinformation, you got to do your education. Got to do your own education. And I think you can even look into it further. That's why some people do homeschooling, which can be a
Yeah,
positive or a
I know a
negative.
big thing is I know a big thing is charter schooling or monasteries as well. But you know, it's I think that's why it's like you said. It's all comes back to what we said is important to do your own research. That's basically the gist of everything we're talking about. All the things that you guys are talking about, take everything and do on your own and trust your research and your diligence.
Yeah, you got to do your own due diligence. Shout out to everybody who's been in this chat. Like I said, we do the show every Friday, 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. It's between 45 minutes and an hour long. We encourage live discussions. Last episode, we were talking about some real stuff. Be yourself. Do I fit in or do I be myself? So we were talking about some real stuff. That's probably been my favorite episode to date. Make sure you go check that out. Um,
Yeah,
and
I think the episodes get better every time.
yeah,
Yeah, I like and we got another. As usual, we come in with a topic next week. You guys want to hear us talk about anything that's on your mind, anything that like feel reach out, let us know what you want to hear us discuss, and we'll give you our thoughts. Simple as that.